Welcome back. On the behalf of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the Minister of International Cooperation, participated in the important Italian-African Summit. Well, talking about this summit and how it is reflected on the current situation, over the phone we have Ambassador Wafaa Basseem, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. So first of all, I would like to shed the light on this event, the significance of this summit.
This summit comes as one of the European countries and Northern countries attempt to enforce and enhance its ties with Africa for two main reasons. The first one is to try to find a solution for the waves of illegal migration into the European continent. The second one is, of course, to score each of them a special place as far as cooperation with Africa in the field of natural resources. We know that Africa is the main, let's say, the main continent for resources of different resources, material, such as oil, gas, metallurgy, stones, just name it, even agriculture if it is well maintained. So Italy, like others, is trying to score a best place or a better place among Europeans having cooperation in Africa. We see that kind of summit. We have seen it with Italy because I think that is the second edition of such a summit. We have seen it also with France, who has hosted and participated in many editions of what they call France-Africa Summit. And, of course, we have the big cooperation and the classic cooperation of the EU as an institution with Africa and African countries, also in the form of yearly summits. The particularity of this summit is the launching of what the Prime Minister of Italy has called the Mattei Plan. Mattei, it's named after the famous engineer Enrico Mattei, who has founded the biggest important cooperation in Italy and maybe in all Europe for importing gas from all over the world, but particularly from Africa. The plan is supposed to use around $6 million allocated from Italy to implement projects of cooperation such as training, education, health, agriculture, and also to permit Italy to become the gateway for African gas and energy in general into the European continent, especially after the decrease of the flow of energy sources from Russia after the Ukrainian-Russian war.
I think also Italy has a successful model when it comes to vocational training in Egypt as well.
Yes, of course, we have several examples of the Italian cooperation as far as vocational training in Egypt. We have in Egypt the first school in Africa for vocational training in the applied technology, which is Don Bosco, yes. That exists here since decades and decades. We have also the School for Fashion. We have also a great cooperation in the field of energy and clean energy, new resources, and just name it. We have a lot of cooperation with the Italian part that is not only based on the production, but also includes important parts like training, vocational training, building capacities, and other areas as well.
Yes, I meant also that if this can be applied in several of the African countries, I think this will help a lot, because usually we say that in the continent itself is rich with its raw materials, the variety of resources, and this of course will open a new horizon when it comes to job opportunities for the youth in general.
What we are seeing now, this is true. Of course, there is one of the forms of cooperation is what we call the tripartite cooperation, and we have this with Italy as one of the countries towards Africa. So that means the funding comes from a country, in this case, Italy. The trainers and the technical capacities that would do the job, they come from Egypt, and the recipient, the final recipient, is usually of course the African countries, and this is through the Egyptian Agency for Cooperation and also the Italian Fund of International and Development Cooperation. We have seen this kind of cooperation, tripartite cooperation, in several projects in Africa, and I hope that this will extend more and more as a form of win-win situation between not only Italy, Egypt, and Africa, but many other donors at the level of Italy, and even higher and richer, especially countries of the north. Let me tell you that part of the Mattei plan has as a goal a couple of also training centers, one in Morocco, where they tend to do technical training for workers in the field of renewable energy, and one in Tunisia for education, and a third one will be in Ivory Coast for the purpose of vocational training, of course.
Well, talking about the digital transformation that we can see now in most, if not, I can say to a great extent, many or a lot of the entities here in Egypt in different sectors. And of course, this can be used also as a tool to promote more when it comes to the relations and taking benefit of this cooperation with Italy. Basically, I want to focus on agriculture and industry.
Well, we have seen in the, or we have heard, let's say, in the statement of the Egyptian Minister of International Cooperation, who has headed the Egyptian delegation to this summit on behalf of His Excellency, the President of the Republic. We have seen how she did display the efforts of Egypt in the field of digitalization, but also she shed the light on the great importance of agriculture and industry, importance of paying a great attention to the climate change and its effects on development in Africa, especially that it is the continent that has been the most harmed by the industrial development in Europe and in, let's say, the developed world. Our minister has also shed light on the importance of modern infrastructure, and that, of course, includes the digitalization of the many sectors that are related to development. She shed the light on the Egyptian plans for the fund for development in Africa, which is known as the NEPAD, which is for the next 2 years, 2024 and 2025, will be under the presidency of President El-Sisi, who is, and thus Egypt is continuing the road and the plan it has presented previously while it had the presidency of the African Union. So those efforts, that long-term view of the future of Africa by Africans is a continuous effort, is a continuous road, and it's not just a short-term vision, but a long vision for Africa until 2060.
Well, there was focus on the climate agenda and also the transition into green projects in general, right?
Yes, I have mentioned about climate changes and their impact on developing world, especially on Africa, that had suffered the most from practices like deforestation, the exaggerated use of fossil energy, the desertification, and all this while while being colonized and while contributing to the detriment of its own good to the advancement and progress of the developed countries and the Western Hemisphere. It's important now that Africa has projects, whether at the bilateral level or through the cooperation or with international institutions such as the EU, the World Bank, the IMF, into projects for redressing the impact of climate change, and also with the fund that has been created after at the summit on climate change in Egypt in November 2022, then put into implementation, or starting to be put into implementation in the edition of that summit in the Emirates, in the United Arab Emirates, in last year, in 2023. And now we have to see how we are going to use the funds of this, the finances of this fund into green projects, whether from one-to-one or through trilateral projects and multilateral projects where African countries will be main players.
Well, if I'm talking about areas of cooperation between Egypt and the European Association Council, in light of their meeting in Brussels last week within the framework of the Team Europe initiative, how do you see it?
I see it as part of the continuous efforts on both parties, first on the European Union, trying to remedy to the root causes of the flood of immigration coming from Africa every year, illegal immigration, and which has seen this particular year in 2023 maybe the largest number of immigrants that usually go in boats through Italy and trying to find a way to live in different European countries. We see that now, and I think many events are taking place everywhere in Europe, and with the coordination of Africa, or at least they are directed towards Africa to achieve a cooperation that would, on one side, permit Europe to make the best use of African resources and resources in other developing countries, and for also to rebuke and to stop as much as possible the flow of immigration that is becoming immigration, also human trafficking, money laundering, all of these, let's say, trans-border international crimes, they are giving a lot of harm for societies and stabilities in Europe.
Right, Ambassador Wafaa Basseem, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for joining us. And right now we're moving on to a quick break, then we'll be back.